Speak No Evil is a psychological horror film that explores themes of trust, family, and battle for survival. The movie begins with a family struggling to enjoy their vacation in Italy. Louise and Ben, along with their daughter Agnes. Ben and Louise are portrayed as slightly anxious parents, particularly concerned about their daughter Agnes, who is nearing adolescence and struggling with her attachment to her stuffed bunny, which symbolizes her innocence and need for comfort in unfamiliar situations. While searching for the lost bunny, they meet another family, a Danish couple, Paddy, Ciara, and their son Ant, who has a speech impairment, claiming that he was born with a smaller tongue that makes it difficult for him to communicate. They have found her hobby and invite Agnes for a ride, which she agrees to. Satisfied with the new friendship, Paddy invites them for a family lunch. While at a restaurant, Louise and Ben are intrigued by their generous and more raw lifestyle, contrasting starkly with their own. There is a burgeoning friendship that develops quickly, as both families engage in friendly banter about their lives and experiences. After the vacation, they are returning back to London. Ben is portrayed as a somewhat passive character who struggles with the demands of fatherhood and the pressures of being a partner. His character reveals frustration and pain over past mistakes in his marriage. His main goal seems to be preserving his family unit, while also dealing with the betrayal that Louise's past infidelity represents. Louise is depicted as a caring but somewhat anxious mother. Her interactions with her daughter suggest she is protective, trying to manage her daughter's emotional states while also balancing her own frustrations. They receive an invitation from Paddy's family to join them at his farm, which is great for a getaway, and they decide to go, hoping that the fresh air will be enjoyable for them. They welcome the British family to their rustic farmhouse in the countryside for a weekend of enjoyment. They made a small bed for Agnes in the room with Ant. Now they are preparing dinner, and Paddy is giving Louise a piece of meat that she secretly spits out because she is a vegetarian. As they settle in, the seemingly quaint family dynamic becomes a little unsettling. Ant tries to make a sound in the room, and Louise wants to check on Agnes to see if she is okay. Then, they notice that the bed linen has a stain and hasn't been washed. After that, Agnes comes into their room because she can't fall asleep, so they use a breathing app. The next day, they spend time outside walking and enjoying the beautiful weather. Agnes wants to swing on the swing set, but Ant doesn't give her space, which causes Paddy to react aggressively toward his son and tell him to let her swing. Meanwhile, Louise shows signs of neck pain. Since Paddy is a doctor, he decides to help and suggests cold water therapy. They jump into the water, and Ant doesn't know how to swim. As the families bond over meals and activities in the idyllic setting, we see some cultural clashes. Ben feels out of his comfort zone regarding the carefree nature of Paddy and Ciara. Louise becomes a bit judgmental about their lifestyle choices. Louise wants to go home and is looking for an excuse like neck pain. However, they invite them to dinner. Their friend Mike will stay with the kids. He was a teacher, so they don't need to worry. Paddy and Ciara's parenting methods appear domineering, particularly towards Ant, which sparks concern in Louise. Ant takes the opportunity while they are playing to show Agnes the watch where his name is on the back. He quickly leaves when he hears that Mike is coming. At dinner, they say that they have been together for 17 years and perform a role play in front of them, which makes them uncomfortable. In the meantime, Ant shows a scar before they arrive. Ant's issues are exploited rather than understood. After the dinner, Paddy notices the watch position has been changed. Louise also grapples with the implications of her personal happiness and marriage stability, as indicated by her conversations with Ben about their ailing relationship. She was texting another man, but in the end they calmed down. Later, when they are sleeping, they notice that Agnes is not in her room but at Paddy's. Disturbed by their behavior, they decide to sneak home. Ant sees them from the window. An unexpected incident occurs wherein Agnes realizes that Hough has gone missing. The frantic search for this stuffed toy highlights the growing paranoia and instability of their situation. She begins to scratch her arm. Ben doesn't want to come back, but he has to because of her condition. They are coming back and the hosts are angry because they are leaving without saying goodbye. Louise tells them the reason for their departure. It is because their daughter was in bed with them. Ciara says she had a baby daughter who she lost and wanted to feel like a mother again. So they decided to stay longer. Paddy represents the carefree rustic life of the countryside and often acts without thinking of the consequences. He exhibits moments where his need for dominance over his environment can hinder his relationships. Ciara strikes a balance between warmth and assertiveness. She often plays peacemaker between Paddy and their guests. While she carries a nurturing instinct, she is also a product of her own troubled past, having grown up in the care system. While they were staying and preparing lunch, Louise cut her finger. Paddy says that he can't help because he's not a doctor. They were lying because they are selling weed, which is a joke. During lunch, the children went to show their dance routine. Paddy becomes aggressive, claiming that Aunt is doing it wrong. Paddy's strictness also alienates Aunt, pushing him to act out further, while Agnes feels torn between her wish to fit in and her growing discomfort. Louise confronts Paddy about his countenance and parenting approach, leading to a confrontation that showcases Paddy's unstable nature. Aunt takes the keys while Paddy is sleeping and then pretends to play with Agnes, only to secretly go to the barn with her where she goes down into a real horror. There are suitcases, sneakers, and phones from previous guests, as the album that confirms all the families that were here before. His family was killed, and that watch belonged to his father. They cut off his tongue. Agnes takes a picture as evidence and leaves. Aunt returns the key, but Paddy is already awake. He tells him to turn around so he can carry him and places the key back where it was. Agnes cuts herself to draw attention, and her mother leaves with her to familiarize herself with the situation they found themselves in. In the meantime, Paddy notices that the straw in the barn has been moved. Louise calls Ben as an excuse to say that her daughter isn't well. She shows him pictures, and Ben starts realizing how serious the situation is. Louise finds a knife that she has hidden. Her desire to protect her daughter is a driving force behind her actions. Ben seeks a balance between being supportive and assertive, but finds it challenging when faced with confrontation. The parents feel increasingly threatened and unsettled by the behavior of their hosts. They make excuses that she is not feeling well, and they have to head home. As they are leaving, they see a flat tire but continue as if they didn't notice. Paddy jumps in and says that they are out of luck. He grabs some tools and offers to help. Tensions rise as the two couples navigate casual conversations that seem innocent on the surface, but hint at deeper societal critiques and personal insecurities. Paddy thinks something is missing, and that is the bunny on the roof. He takes a ladder and tells Ben to climb up because he is taller than him. Ben climbs up and then suddenly slips a little bit. He grabs the bunny, which is damaged. They get into the car, and Aunt goes to open the gate, but Paddy stops him. He uses a remote control for that. They drive back while being followed. When they turn to exit, Paddy throws Aunt into the lake. Ben jumps into the water to save him, and the gate closes, where everyone becomes abducted. Their idyllic farm setting turns into a nightmare as they showcase their violent tendencies and manipulation. A transfer of 200 grand is being made. After that, Paddy prepares an injection for Louise, and she pulls out a knife and takes a gun, while everyone is getting ready to leave, with Ciara saying that she is also a victim and that they should take her. Ben locks them both up, and they get into the car. At that moment, a family friend, Mike, shows up, shoots at them, and frees Paddy and Ciara. They enter the house and look for the phone that has just been turned off, as well as the electricity soon after. They use their phones for lighting and get the idea to set the roof on fire so someone might notice them. Ben misses and hits Paddy's car. They hide the kids in a closet, after which Ben finds a weapon. They split up. Mike goes to the roof and Ben goes upstairs where he hides. Paddy finds Louise in the house, who is holding the door, while Ciara comes from the other side. Louise lets go of the door and runs into another room. They venture further in and search for the kids. Paddy opens the closet where Louis attacks him, and they run away from Ciara, but Mike sees them and shoots. Ben comes out and finds himself in trouble, where Louise resolves the situation. They go to the roof, and Ciara follows them. Everyone starts to leave in a rush to think of a plan. Ciara notices them and keeps them in her sights, but she doesn't shoot. Then Louise reacts, and Ciara falls and dies. Along with her, the ladder falls, causing Ben to decide to jump and break his leg. He adjusts the ladder, and everyone safely climbs down. Agnes goes to the car but finds herself in Paddy's grasp. They drop their weapons, and Paddy claims he won't hurt her because he wants to keep her for himself. Suddenly, Agnes injects Paddy, who falls down in a state of helplessness. Agnes meets with the others and calls Anne to join them, but he decides on revenge. Everyone gets into the car safely and heads home, and Agnes gives Hoppy to Anne. The movie leaves viewers questioning not only the motivations of the characters, but also their own perceptions of parental responsibility and the nature of trust.